In The Night the River Wept, that was actually an old manuscript. And the one that is, I've got one coming out next year that was also a manuscript. Sometimes the character or some part of the story will really stick with me, and I just kind of can't ignore it. And I'll go back and I'll look at it and I'll rework it, and then nah, this is garbage, and do something else. I loved this idea of her coming, it was her and then the Natalie Wright who wrote the journal entries, whose name was originally Sarah, but then I had Sarah Ann in the Floating Girls, so we couldn't have Sarah in The Night the River Wept. So um the two of them, it was this Arlene, this kind of bumbling around, simple sort of, a little vapid person. I mean, she had, the ambitions to have the family and all that were all very sincere, but she kind of not particularly interesting person who stumbled into something really profound. And I had this teenage character kind of in between, like a little bit gatekeeping with information, even though they didn't know each other and they didn't know that was what was going on. But these journal entries is like little slivers of this domestic situation. So it was all of that. And then I had these three Broderick boys. This was this cold case of them being found. And that obviously I could not stop thinking about, because I do think, what a horrible thing that would be. And the desolation, I don't say enjoy. I'm drawn to writing about, people in poverty and these kind of forgotten places and forgotten families. It's all made up. I cannot deal in facts. I always say I think journalism is infinitely more difficult than writing fiction. I don't want facts. I can't stick to them. I've had these like, oh, I'll write a historical fiction. No, I can't do it. I got to make it all up. And plus I do enjoy mystery elements and crime elements in my books, and those things in real life are incredibly disturbing. They're disturbing in fiction. They're horribly disturbing in real life. So I do not base it on anything that I've heard or any crime that I'm aware of. Although I'm sure that have been similar crimes, tragically. So I had this thing about them living on Deck River. This was all part of the original manuscript. There were just a lot of changes to it, and I really liked that. And then I liked Arlene kind of coming through and getting fascinated by it. And in order for her to suddenly be fascinated by a criminal case, it would need to be very I want to say special, but it would need, I mean, she's not going to get totally fascinated by like someone illegally cut down a tree in someone's yard or something. She's not going to like, throw her life into that. So the fact that she wanted a family so badly and they were having trouble, and that these were child victims in a very neglected environment, really without parents at all. They were being raised by the sister who, God love her, she was doing what she could, but and all Arlene wanted was to have children to, make the little lunches for and do all of these adorable motherly things. So I felt it made a lot of sense that this would really hook her, because she would feel so sorry for the victims, and just, wonder how on earth could this have happened. And that no one ever figured it out. And also that Mitchell, who is another one of the main characters, was also somebody's son from a good family like Arlene would see herself having. And, there were a lot of triggers for her in this, that these were people she could relate to on a lot of different levels. I'm an oddball. I love oddballs. Anytime that I can have like some kind of social commentary about, people and their little idiosyncrasies, I really love to include it. And I also think that it helps to broaden the story and lighten the story a little bit. I think you can have a very sad story with a lot of other elements to it. People are still, can still be funny and goofy, and things can still happen that don't just all fall in. There's not just one tone to life. Even when life is really tragic or really difficult, there are a lot of different elements. Like in every hour of the day, you will experience so many different reactions to things or different types of people. And so I love having my supporting cast kind of add different layers to the experience other than just, this one thing where she's going on this path. Like she wants to be best friends with these ladies and she thinks they're starting a detectives club. And it brings out some of Arlene's goofiness, that her immaturity, because she doesn't just become the person that she is at the end. It takes a while for her to sort of see, in what a shallow pool she's been swimming. And she's got to go through all this stuff with these goofy ladies. And Rana is the receptionist at the police station. I love Rana. I would write like 6 books about Rana, but I don't think her life is particularly interesting because they would just be about like her meatloaf making and stuff. But she's just this very determined woman. She comes from, she's not proud of her background, but she's very proud of where she is. And she's, working for the police department and she runs a tight ship at the reception desk. And she and her husband have this very regimented lifestyle. And, Arlene comes in there and just kind of disrupts her comfort. She had a way of doing things that she was really happy with. And she kind of fights back with Arlene mostly. And like, she says to her, like, I don't want to change just to become friends with you. And Rana has decided who she wants to be, and she's going to be that. And Arlene has decided that she wants to be friends with Rana. And so I think that their dynamic is fun. And, I can relate to aspects of it. Wanting to be friends with someone really badly, maybe it wasn't a great fit, or having someone kind of like, we should be besties. And I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. And then Elena is this, I imagine her as this kind of like whiskey drinking, let me tell you something about life, Arlene, that kind of character. And Arlene just eats it up. She thinks that she's so, seductive in all these different ways. And she's really not. But they were nice for me as the writer. It was nice to like have her be attracted to different elements of them. Rana's sturdiness and Elena's kind of like savvy, which she perceives as savvy. The things neither of those things she has. So she admires them and seeks them. But I think they're goofy.